Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, a degree of enterprise, a new suite for student entrepreneurs from Hull University. Getting on his bike, Jazz Newton, a young BMX rider, saddles up for competition, and I'll be talking to him and to his father Steve here in the studio. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Richards. First of all, it's over to Erica Barker for the news headlines.
A new accident and emergency department at Hull Royal Infirmary opens its doors to the public today after a £12 million revamp. It's hoped to reduce pressures experienced over recent months.
We've designed and then built and delivered this around a working major inner city hospital is a feat in itself. But you know, it's such a proud moment for myself and for the team just to be stood here. And to see what we're about to work in. I think there's such a level of enthusiasm from the staff when they've seen and had the tours and orientation sessions within this area, that there's a real upbeat feeling that the level of delivery of care by the staff with their level of professionalism is a new step change for Hull.
Security is being stepped up at a sports club in Grimsby after a break-in in the early hours. On the 12th of this month, thieves forced their way into the Linden Homes Club, making away with more than £1,000 in cash and goods. Well, Homicide Police are currently reviewing CCTV as part of their inquiries and are urging those with any information to come forward.
We came into the club on the Sunday morning and the window had been smashed. They'd been in, taken up to about £1,000, bottles of spirits, and opened the box, which is something that the members do on a Saturday night. The money was towards all sorts of things, stadiums, just general club use, everything really. It's money that we didn't want to lose, we really couldn't afford to lose, but
Harbour Place Day Centre in Grimsby is appealing for donations to help encourage people who may not have otherwise picked up a fishing rod to take up the pastime. They say everyone in the community can benefit, especially those who find themselves on hard times.
The idea around it, client involvement, ultimately is basically to reduce the sort of opportunities for substance misuse and alcohol, reducing antisocial behaviour, positive use of time, socialising with a positive, sort of peer group.
And finally, public service broadcasting and internationally renowned sound artist Scanner are the first acts to be announced for Hull's 2015 Freedom Festival. We will have more on this in tomorrow's bulletin. Until then, goodbye.
Jazz Newton is a name you may not yet recognise, but a name that could soon be known worldwide. The youngster from North East Lincolnshire has made huge strides in the BMX world, or should that be huge pedals? And this year he'll come against the finest sporting talent the UK has to offer. Our reporter Erica Barker went along to the track to see training in full swing.
Fully kitted out, a team talk to motivate and sights set on the trophy. The only difference is BMX prodigy Jazz Newton is 6 years old. Hailing from Cleethorpes, he's gearing up for this year's national championships. And Dad Steve says his son certainly has the experience under his belt to attain the title.
He's only done it for 1 year and he raced 7 Expert last year, which is like the top class for his age group. And he got number 7 in Midlands last year for first year, 5th in Scotland Championships, went to the British Championships, and now he's competing in national level, in the Nationals and everything this year.
And it seems Jazz's progress is going from strength to strength.
I don't know, I just bought him a year ago and he had a go and he liked it, so I went, well, just do it, have a go, see how you go. And since then he's loved it. When he got sponsored later on last year by Suzanne McHugh, well, BMX Widows Photography Race Team, and since he's joined her team, he's even getting better now because he's got like a team and somebody to look up to. If he keeps at it and trains how he's doing, he trains with Kelvin Batty, usually twice a month, who's double world champion. If he keeps doing that, he'll be fine. So he's got a lot of years to go yet.
And what is it that you like about it?
I like the starts, what I get down the start hill.
And when did you realise that you liked it?
Um, and, and I liked it like when I was starting to stand up.
What do your friends think of it?
Awesome.
And he may be the smallest of his friends on the track, but the sky really does seem to be the limit when it comes to this little boy's dreams becoming reality. Erica Barker, Estuary TV.
You're watching Estuary TV News. A little later, Richard Morris will be here to report on the local election campaigns, and Dan Kemp will bring you all the sports news. We've just seen the incredibly impressive achievements of Jazz Newton, who joins me now with his father, Steve. Welcome to you both.
Hello.
How are you? Hello, Jazz.
Hello.
That looks very, very clever and dangerous, all that BMX biking. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah? What's the best thing about it?
Jumping
Jumping
and racing.
and racing. Do you win your races, don't you?
Once.
Once. Well, it's the taking part that counts, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
1 year.
Only a year, and you're already this good.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, have you ever fallen off?
Yeah.
Does it hurt? Or do you just get a bit dusty and muddy?
Dusty.
Okay. Have you got lots of friends who do BMXing as well?
Yeah.
Yes, well that's an answer to my question, I guess. Steve, how did Jazz get into it?
One of the friends I worked with, Stuart Stannard, he actually helps with GYPO, giving young people opportunities.
Yep.
And they run the track at New Waltham and says, why don't you fetch Jazz down, let him have a go, see what he thinks. So we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then you've done it ever since.
Yeah.
And you liked it then, did you? But now you go all around the country, don't you? What's your favourite track? Favourite track?
Rotherham.
Rotherham?
All of them.
All of them. Okay, fair enough. And you've got some sponsorship. This is getting quite professional, Steve.
Yeah, it's sponsored by Suzanne McHugh, BMX Widows Photography Race Team. She basically does all the photos all over the country with BMXing. So he now gets his shirt and his race gear provided, don't you? In your race plate.
It's quite an expensive sport, Dan. I mean, you are travelling all around the country and you're staying over. And
staying over.
So you need a bit. You
A bit more,
need a bit of. You need a bit of prize money from Jazz, don't you?
Yeah, a bit of prize money or some more sponsors would be nice.
How much practice does he have to put in a week? How much time is this taking up?
He usually puts in 3 nights a week, and then usually a Saturday, and then he'll race a Sunday, and then sometimes he races a Saturday and Sunday. So he only has probably a couple of days a week off.
And he says he's only won once. He must have won more often than that.
You've won a few races, haven't you? There's a lot of competition in your age group.
First once.
Yeah.
The BMX biking, it started, what, about 30 or 40 years ago?
Yeah, early 80s.
Early 80s. What's the attraction?
I don't know, it's like a community. And plus, especially with Jazz's age, they can't actually go and play at the park on their own or do anything. So we actually all go racing, meet up with friends, and then after racing they can all play and it's safe.
Yeah, you can't really go bicycling on the roads either at 6 years old either, can you? What about the future? Is he going to be the Barry Sheen of the 21st century, riding motorcycles, winning prizes?
What do you want to do?
What?
What do you want to race?
I want to race. What would you say again?
Motorbikes, want it? You said earlier.
If he comes up and says racing yachts, then you're in real trouble, Steve, aren't you? Okay, what about, there are certain dangerous aspects, aren't there? We saw in Erica's film that there's sort of rocky concrete tracks they're riding across, and there must be a risk of a little bit more than just scrapes and scuffs.
Yeah, you can get broken bones, but you have full body protector on, don't you, Jazz?
Yeah.
Your body armour, all your arms have got protectors, your knees are protected, your hips are protected. You have your helmet, gloves.
Are you never scared, Jazz? Are you never a little bit worried that you might hurt yourself?
On first some first jumps when you have to jump them, break them down.
Okay, and you've got a particularly good bike as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
What is it? What is that special about that bike, Steve?
It's done in the BMX Widows colours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ah, right.
Customised.
Special customised decoration, so it goes with your clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, don't go away, chaps. We'll come and talk about a bit more in a moment or two. Startups have become an important part of the British economic community. People pour money into them and hopefully, after some time, a new business will emerge and thrive. A business which helped startups in Hull, set up by a Hull University graduate, has now been honoured in the Duke of York Young Entrepreneurs Award 2015. Richard Morris is always profitable.
A Hull University graduate has been recognised for his work with a Royal Award. Guy Wallace received the award after being nominated by the university.
The award is given to current students or graduates from each Yorkshire university, and the award's given out by the Duke of York, which was great to meet him. You know, it was a great experience. So for me, you know, it was a really good experience because you know, from the point of view that there's very little opportunity often to reflect on what you've actually done, and you know, just spend the day thinking about you know, where you've come. And in particular, you know, I was quite humbled and taken aback that the university obviously wanted to put me forward for the award itself.
The business itself deals with startups, and Guy is grateful to the university, which helped to encourage him as a student into business.
Of late, we've been trying really hard to encourage people to get involved in both business activities with local businesses, but also increasingly to start up their own businesses. And this is something that I personally am very passionate about. Well, we have a module in the final year where students who are interested in starting their own businesses or have their own ideas study. We teach them various things about entrepreneurship. We try and encourage them. And as part of the assessment for that, what they have to do is to come up with their own business plan, their own business idea, and then pitch it to a panel of dragons, very like the television programme. Some of those dragons are members of staff and others are people from local industry.
Jazz and Steve Newton are still here. Steve, you did a bit of BMXing as a young man yourself.
Yes, back in 1984.
Yep. You're a bit older than, I mean, forgive me, I don't mean to be presumptuous, but I suspect you're a bit older than Jazz is now.
Yes, definitely.
What was the attraction? How long did you do it? Is it something that you kept up?
I only did it for a few years, but I wanted to do motocross, but I wasn't allowed.
Why weren't you allowed to do motocross?
I was a bit too crazy.
Ah, okay, I won't go into the details there. BMX is a sport that's got a bit of a future there, hasn't it? It's not just for children, not just for young people.
Yeah, it's for veterans do it as well, 40 plus years do it. There's actually a lot of riders in the 40 plus as well.
You're not
probably more than Jazz's age group.
You're not tempted to get back into it?
A few people's tempted me to get back into it. I've got a bike and a race licence, but up to press I haven't raced.
It's not a sport that it's not one of the most elegant sports in the world, is it?
No.
It's a bit rough and tumble.
Yeah.
The same people compete in BMX biking as compete in sort of velodrome biking and Tour de France style biking?
Some of them do, like Sinead Reid. She did BMXing, but she also does a velodrome.
And she's an Olympian?
Yeah, she's an Olympic team. Huh? You've been training with her, haven't you, as well?
Huh?
You've been training with Olympic champions?
Yeah.
And is that helpful?
Yes.
Will you be BMX riding in the Olympics one day, Jazz?
Like Trey White and Liam Phillips?
Yeah.
You want a gold medal?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I want to go in the cup.
You want to go in a cup? Mm. Are there cups for BMXers?
I'm not sure. You get trophies, don't you?
Yeah.
For World Championships.
And big one.
Is there anybody in the BMX world who's your absolute big hero who you'd like to be like? No, not really, clearly. None of them good enough. You're a natural champion, you're superior to them all, Jazz?
Jazz, who would you like to be like BMXing? Kelvin?
No.
What about a future as a stuntman? You could be leaping like Evel Knievel, leaping over buses and across the Grand Canyon.
So you could do that?
Stunt bikes.
Yeah, stunt bikes.
They are rockers.
Your dad looks a bit disapproving. Maybe I shouldn't have suggested that.
Yeah, like rockers, yeah.
Yeah.
What about, Steve? What about the facilities around here? You're from North East Lincolnshire. Are there good facilities for BMX
Yeah,
biking?
but at New Waltham, it's an open track, so he can go train whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Where a lot of tracks around the country, they're closed tracks. You have to go on particular days.
Right.
Because of the money of the tracks cost.
Sure.
But
Because you get that bit of practice anytime you want.
yeah, anytime he wants to go, you go, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what's the next event? What's the next big race in the future? What's the next tournament?
He's racing Doncaster this
Doncaster.
weekend. Come on in, just stay it. Then you're doing Birmingham weekend after. Then we're going to Scotland, Glasgow, to Cumbernauld.
You like Glasgow, do you?
No.
You like that track, don't you?
Yeah. I think it's my favourite one, actually.
It's your favourite? Okay.
Good.
Well, very good luck with all those races, Jazz. Well done for all your achievements so far, including that one win. And we'll look out for your name in the future. Thanks very much, Jazz.
Thank you.
We go now onto the mean streets to explore another linguistic anomaly. It's what you say. The word on the street is baggerment.
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 Sounds like a bag of mints. What, polos, humbugs?
Any guesses?
I ain't got a clue.
A bag of mints. That's about it.
No idea.
Bag of mints.
Come on. No.
Richard Morris is here to round up some news of local politics and the local election campaigns. Richard.
Yes. Well, hello, Hugh. I mean, I remember last week we sat on this sofa and we discussed greatly what was happening, well, indeed, at great length what was happening in the general election. And we've decided that this week we're going to talk about the local elections.
Well, we are talking about local chambers and
Yes.
how they're going to be populated.
Indeed, indeed. And now, of course, a lot of people, it's kind of being overshadowed really by the general election. A lot of people are almost forgetting actually that there are local elections coming up. East Riding of Yorkshire, North Lincolnshire, East Lindsey, West Lindsey and Kingston upon Hull all have whole council elections. So anyone who goes to the polls in that area to vote for their constituents and their members of parliament will also be voting for their local councillors as well.
Yep.
North East Lincolnshire, if you live in any of the following wards, you'll also be voting. It's 1/3 of their overall council seats. Croft Baker, Haverstow, Immingham, South, Westmarsh, Eastmarsh, Heneage, Park, Sydney Sussex, Wolds, Freshney, Humberston and New Waltham, Scartho, Waltham and Yarborough are all areas which will be voting for their councillors as well within the North East Lincolnshire
And that's
area.
because in North East Lincolnshire, they're rather grandly like the United States Senate. They only elect a third of their body at a time, so it's a sort of a revolving membership.
Yes, so it prevents this kind of what can sometimes happen as the coattails effect, which is actually what they call it in America, whereby an incumbent government may be voted against, and then you have huge swathes of councils being voted against, obviously because they want to support a different government or the same government or whatever. So this 1/3 system is obviously what North East Lincolnshire employs.
You avoid the snapshot effect.
Yes.
And on the whole, people do tend to vote the card. That is, they'll vote
Yes.
for the same party for Parliament as they will for their local government.
Yes, yes. East Riding of Yorkshire obviously is, they're voting for their whole council. There's it's current Conservative control. They're not likely to lose ground. I mean, obviously, when you look at the statistics, there's huge majorities there for the Conservatives. It's not like they may lose, a few thousand votes, but it's not at the end of the day going to impact any seats for them really. North East Lincolnshire, of course, does have no overall control. This changed as of last year, when obviously Labour lost a little bit of ground to UKIP and also the Conservatives, and then obviously the council since then hasn't really had an overall majority. And indeed East Lindsey is the same. East Lindsey, it still remains in no overall control, and it's been like that for a little while now.
With North East Lincolnshire also, we know that Chris Shaw, who's the Labour leader and leader of the council, will be stepping down from both of those roles after this election. So we know that the leader of the council will be changing whatever happens.
Indeed, indeed. So of course the makeup of the council will, might change significantly. I mean, of course we could see the cabinet change. We could see, because obviously a new leader might well want to change, who's elected to run various services for him. East Lindsey, I mean, there's still for the Conservatives, they're still 2 seats short of a majority. It's interesting, of course. Voting, most people tend to vote against incumbent governments. It's interesting. This may well, this shortness of seats that they have may well increase, or it may well, go to further sort of East Lindsey independent groups, which of course is another area.
And you think about East Lindsey being a very rural area, you think of that being the Knights of the Shires and that being quite blue and Tory, but it's interesting that East Lindsey is still so much on a knife edge.
Yes, and of course Labour are of course hoping to gain more seats within East Lindsey. I believe there's over 10 Labour councillors within East Lindsey, and this is something which most people find quite surprising, because they assume that it would be more like the East Riding of Yorkshire, very rural area, very conservative majorities, but it's not actually quite the same in East Lindsey.
We will return to this subject this time again next week, Richard. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now here's the sport with Dan Kemp.
Scunthorpe United are edging ever closer to League One safety. The Iron drew 1-1 with Bradford City last night at Glanford Park, opening the gap above the relegation zone to 6 points with 2 games to play. Gary McSheffrey scored the goal, assisted by Hakib Adelican. Next up for the Iron is a home game with Gillingham on Saturday. Elsewhere, a Tom Denton hat-trick made sure North Ferriby United won their first game since their FA Trophy success. They won 3-2 away to Guiseley. Grimsby snooker player Stuart Carrington will play his first ever World Championship match on Wednesday. He'll play former world number 1 Judd Trump at the Crucible. Carrington came through the qualifiers for the first time, having beaten another former world number 1 Peter Ebden en route to the first round. Hull Kingston Rovers duo Adam Walker and James Donaldson have both been charged by the RFL. Both charges relate to the Robins Challenge Cup win over the Bradford Bulls at the weekend. Donaldson has been charged with a Grade B offence on Bradford Bulls player Adam O'Brien in the 47th minute of the Cup at the Providence Stadium. Walker has been charged with a Grade A striking on the same player in the 50-30 victory. And finally, in the Northern Counties East League, Louth Town hammered Yorkshire Amateur on Tuesday night. Jack Whitewick was amongst the scoring, netting 4 goals. Lee Croft weighed in with 2 and Chris Eller added to the tally. Wednesday night, Grimsby Borough and Winston Rangers both have away games. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, Barton Town Old Boys are at home to Worksop Town. Don't hesitate to get in touch if you've got any sports stories you want to share with us. You can call 01472315553, email sport@estuary.tv or search for us on Facebook or Twitter. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks very much, Dan. Good luck to Jazz Newton in his career as a cyclist. I'm not sure he enjoys being interviewed. If you have a story for us, go to our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details on the screen. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 3155553. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. A dull and cloudy start expected, perhaps some coastal mist, then gradually warm spells of sunshine will develop with a maximum temperature of 18 degrees Celsius. Friday will be dry and bright, with an increasing chance of showers towards the evening.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.